guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today in this video I am going to talk about agile methodology and how it works. Okay, so like the video and watch till the end to get this type of videos which will be knowledgeable and more informative. So let's get started. So first of all, I'll start with the history of agile. Okay, so first of all, agile was started because the other models was not good, and because quality of products wasn't good and requirement was freezed and end users were not getting satisfied. Okay, so previously the software that are made, the end users are not getting satisfied and quality was not good. And the second point is teams and companies focused on documentation and work so much that they forgot what really mattered to the end users. So this means that the end users were not satisfied with the software and their needs and was not fulfilled by the software, and it was not providing any value to the users. So agile was started on 2001 and it was started by 17 people through a discussion. Okay, so the discussion of problems in companies, even after 2 decades, its impact is huge. Okay, so what does this mean is, so in 2001 some group of people have identified the problem of the current processes. So they have made a solution of the problem that companies are making and too much documentation and focusing in their work so much and focusing the internal process so much that they are not focusing on the end users and customers are not getting any values out of their work. Okay, so that is the main problem that is identified by 17 people, and it's a product management process for software development. Okay, so it's a process actually for product management. At first it was only limited to software development, later it evolved to different industries. So what does this mean is, initially when this process was started, agile was started, it was only limited to software industry, but nowadays this process is followed by a lot of industries, in many industries. And the last point is breaking the big project into small parts, and it has 12 principles. What does that mean is, it is a very big project. If you are making some big project, you should always break this project into small parts, and then it will be successful projects. So now we will look into the frameworks in the agile. Okay, so agile process has some frameworks, that is Scrum and Kanban, and it is much more popular frameworks nowadays. So Scrum, it is a cycle which consists of sprints and cycle process of sprints which is used to deliver software. And Kanban, a full transparency of work and real-time communication of team capacity. Okay, so Scrum is an agile framework which focuses on sprint and iterative process for better quality of software delivered. And Kanban, it is a process similar to Scrum and it has a full transparency of work and real-time communication. So now we will talk about the members of the Scrum. Who are present in the Scrum and who are working in the Scrum. Okay, so in the Scrum team there are product manager, developers and QA, and one more person is there in the Scrum team, that is Scrum Master, but not frequently this person is seen in the Scrum team. So basically in Scrum team, product manager, developers, QAs are seen. Scrum artifacts. So in the Scrum framework there are Scrum artifacts. What is Scrum artifacts? Scrum artifacts are small components, that is product backlog and sprint backlog. So we'll discuss about what is product backlog and sprint backlog. So product backlog is something. So whenever you are working on something, right? You are working on a project. So initially you will make some plan and make some document or write something that this needs to be done, that needs to be done, this needs to be completed within this time, that needs to be completed within that time. So all this planning, right? All this planning and documentation will be stored in the product backlog. Okay. So whenever you make the product backlog, then comes the sprint backlog. So what is sprint backlog? So sprint backlog is something like you will take something from the product backlog and you will work on the sprint backlog. So once you work on the sprint backlog, your work will be done at the end of the sprint. So I will give you an example so that you can understand the product backlog and sprint backlog in a better way. Suppose you are a manager in the football team. Okay, so your task, your goal is to create a team, create a football team of 11 players and create a club that it can go into Indian team. Okay, so you will plan some task, right? First of all, collect footballs. First of all, create a club jersey, create a field, get a field, then get a stadium. So all these tasks, right? This will go into product backlog. In sprint backlog, what you will do? So first task was to get a football field. So this task needs to be completed within 1 month. So that will come in the sprint backlog. And the second task is to get some football jersey and team, right? So the second task is to get some football jersey and balls. So that will be the second sprint. It will be completed in the second month. And third task is to play matches. Organize matches, play matches against different teams. So this is the third task, and the third task will be completed in the third month of the sprint backlog. So this means that you are picking something, like you are plucking flower from a tree, and like you are plucking fruit from a tree and eating it. Like you are choosing something from the product backlog and utilizing it in the sprint backlog. This is the concept of product backlog and sprint backlog. Next is Scrum ceremonies. So what is Scrum ceremonies? So there are different kinds of Scrum ceremonies such as backlog grooming, sprint planning, sprint stand-up, sprint review and sprint retrospective. So backlog grooming. What is backlog grooming? So as I have given you the example of the football, right? So you have made a different tasks. So once in your free time you will just check for the task that you are doing the task properly or not, your plan is proper or not. So that is backlog grooming. What is sprint planning? Sprint planning is done by product managers, devs and QAs. They sit together and do the sprint planning, that how much task can be completed, if any blockers or issues will come. All this sprint planning is done in the sprint planning meeting. And then stand-up meeting. So stand-up meeting is each and every day on the daily basis. Team will do a stand-up meeting if they are facing any blockers. What they have done yesterday, what they will do today, it is done in the stand-up meeting. Then comes sprint review. Sprint review is done at the end of the sprint in order to review the work that team has done, then the features that can be released or not. It is done in the sprint review meeting. And at last there is sprint retrospective. What is sprint retrospective? So sprint retrospective is nothing but uh, in this phase it is evaluated that what went wrong, what went right in the sprint. The developers and QAs worked together, what went wrong, what can be improved in the next sprint. That is evaluated in the sprint retrospective meeting. So these are all the ceremonies that is present in the Scrum. And now we'll talk about the summary that we have learned in this video. So sprint planning. What is sprint planning? Sprint planning is done by the dev, QA and product manager that I have told you before, and it is product backlog. Okay, so we are taking the product backlog. For example, we are taking the task that is planned and we will talk about this in the sprint planning meeting. Okay, so daily scrum, sprint backlog. Okay, so in the sprint backlog we have taken some task, right? On the daily scrum we will only talk about that sprint backlog task. Okay, we will not talk about the product backlog task. So product backlog tasks are only talk about in the sprint planning meeting, but sprint backlog tasks are only talked about in the daily scrum meeting. Okay, so don't get confused between these. Sprint review. What is sprint review? So in sprint review meeting, your work is evaluated. Okay, if you have done something good or not in the sprint, it is evaluated. And sprint retrospective is a similar kind of thing. What went wrong, areas of improvement. Now we will talk something more about the summary. So Scrum team consists of Dev, QA and PM and Jira. So Jira is a very popular tool for Agile. It is used to create the product backlog, sprint backlog. Then proper visibility is there in the Jira for the sprints, the different tasks, bugs, everything. It's a kind of repository. And Agile and Scrum aren't the same. Agile is a philosophy and sprint is a framework to get things done. So many people will get confused in Agile and Scrum and sprint. So Agile is not Scrum and Scrum is not Agile. Agile is just a philosophy. It is defined by some people and it's a philosophy that most of the people follow in a proper way. And Scrum is just an implementation of Agile. Scrum is a framework. Okay, so Scrum consists of sprint, all these things. So don't get confused between Agile and Scrum. So that's all about this Agile, guys. Hope this video will improve the knowledge of a lot of people. If it does, like my video, and that will motivate me to create more such videos. And thanks for watching this video.